Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. I want to continue our conversation as it relates to projecting into the world the blessings, the stillness, the peace, and the liberation that we may feel from God, either after we do the torsion field or we do the breath control, the universal breath. And how do we project it outside? I want to go over some key detail that relates to the process of talking about the beyond time and space and that projection and how it relates and what are the internal processes that are working in the background to facilitate this. Because if you're doing it correctly, it should be almost like a sneeze. Beyond time and space, and it's projected outside. And what drives it, it's the fact that you have to understand that when you say begone time and space, and you are, it's a decree, it's a command, where the entire universe is to listen to you. I talked about the voice. I'm going to go over it again. It is not my voice. You don't need to copy and duplicate my tonality, where I pause and how I release the vowels and how I phonate it. It's none of that. It has to be your own voice. And it's connected to the principle of the idea of the unpronounceable name of God. To put it in a way that can make sense to you, each one of us have had a very unique descent since we descended into dimensional reality, and we kept on getting smaller and smaller and smaller to get into 3D, and we are on our way back in a very unique path that's our own. And in that descent, there was brokenness and there was fracture. And we are trying to heal the brokenness and the fracture. The voice that I'm talking about, it's the idea of you remembering who you are. And it has to be one voice. Meaning, because if you have subconscious traumas and brokenness and fractures that are saying, for example, you're no good, you're undeserving of having this blessing, you think you can do this, this is a joke. All kinds of things like this, if they're subconsciously going inside of you, your voice will not resonate, because as you're decreeing it outward and you're expressing it, there's a subconscious part that is inside of you telling you you're incapable of doing it. In other words, this is the reason why Lord Melchizedek took since 2010 until now to teach us this, because he wanted us to work on our inner healing, our shadow work, or inner work, so that we can heal all these little fragments. We, over 2 years ago, we talked at great length about the imposter syndrome. The idea that you may feel at some point that you're undeserving of ascension and that you are not incapable of achieving this. This is the same thing with the voice. If you have inside of you, and the imposter's voice is still there, subconsciously, telling you that you're undeserving of this, you will not be able to phonate it. You will not be able to utter it out with the power and the authority that is needed to have all the forces of nature in 3D obey you and actually banish it out. This spot is extremely important for you to understand. This is the reason why it took so long for us from 2010 to now to actually teach this. Because if you try to resonate it and say beyond time and space and you can't do it, you will project into the world the fracture, the brokenness, not the rest of God, not the peace, because you need to have the peace within you yourself first. You have to feel that you're at rest first. And once that is created and you're at rest in all parts of you internally, then when you project it, when you say beyond time and space, the voice will come complete out. Instead of having 1,000 little fragments inside of you, each one of them doing their own thing, it will come in unison. as one complete voice and say, "Be gone, time and space." And when it does, the entire multiverse will obey. Because you're coming in as now a grounding rod for the actual God force, complete. You will remember who you are. That's what I mean when we were talking, when we were doing the torsion field, and we were talking about I remember myself in the 5D, I remember myself in the 8D, I remember myself in the 10th dimension. It's for us to begin to resonate and to know who and what we are. So it's important for us to have that perspective and understand that internally there are saboteurs. There are all kinds of forces, and it's not about having perfect diction. It's not about opening your mouth and let the voice come from the back of your head, or it's not about having a head voice, or it's none of that. It comes deeper. It's a complete identity. When you're complete and solid in who and what you are, and you know through and through that this is like blinking your eyelid, because what you are is the God force on earth. It's like blinking your eyelid. It's not coming from ego, from power. It's coming from a completely different place of certainty. It's not ego. It's not a delusion of power. It's none of the above. But it's from healing and from reconciliation. And any questions, any comments about this? Because we all have brokenness. We all have fractures. There's not one person that has existed in the universe that doesn't have it. And there are multiple of them. So this is why we spend almost 16 years working on that inner work. The social intelligence, the emotional intelligence, the spiritual intelligence, because or the Dentien, and looking at it's to heal all these parts, so that when we speak the word, when we utter the word, it comes from the totality of who we are, not from some fragments, or that some parts of it are agreeing, or that whole thing. For years I've been telling you this. We tend to agree and disagree about the same thing 3 to 5 times per minute. We agree on one thing, and the next thing you know, there's a voice inside of you that flips it and says, "No, you don't deserve this. No, this is not good for you." And we keep doing this literally 3 to 5 times per minute. Scientists have done brain scan and wire people, and this is the way our brain operates. But when you do this in complete certainty, and you remain in that certainty, and you know who you are, and it's coming from one voice, the entire universe will listen to you. And that's who we really are. Co-creative principles that are here to help bring God, manifest God, and anchor God's presence on earth. That's why we sign up for. That's why we're all here. We all sign up for this transit to become these anchors for the celestial forces that are still slightly outside above the planetary level, that cannot ground completely, because there are so many other voices and other parallel realities and forces that are overlapping and trying to interfere with what's happening in the world. And thus this mechanism, this teaching coming from Lord Melchizedek, is a way for us to have to help intercede and for the rest of humanity, help bring comfort, help bring healing, help bring peace to the rest of the planet. Now, I want to go over some key points. The beyond time and space appear like it's one continuous thing, but it's actually, there are steps to it, and I want to break down the steps. In the 3D reality, we have a matrix or a serapin that's being held together by the demiurge or Lucifer to hold lack, survival, and the idea that we're undeserving of a pure and direct connection with God. When you're saying begone time and space, what you're really saying is that you're banishing. It's a banishment. In theurgy or ceremonial magic, if you call a force a lesser force, when you call them in a circle, in a magical circle, when you call them, after you call them, you have to banish them. You have to send them back where they came from. So what we are doing with the begone time and space by the voice and also the movement of our hand, we are actually banishing time and space and the condition connected to time and space in 3D, which are lack and survival. We're banishing them out. So from a place of complete certainty in knowing that you are the grounding rod for the God force, you're standing and you're saying, begone time and space. And we're doing it 3 times. Begone time and space. And then you extend your hand out when you get into space. Okay. Let's break this down for a second. The begone is the banishment. But it's not you saying it. It's all the parts of you that have been reconciled and that are healed, that are standing in spiritual rectitude, knowing who you are. You're saying to all the conditions, for example, you're observing people around you that are in fear, and you're trying to bring them into the serenity and the rest of God that you know. So you're saying, begone time and space. So whatever they're experiencing, you're banishing it out. But you're banishing it from a place of knowing, like a sneeze, that you're capable, or blinking your eyelid, that this is nothing to the God force. This is completely insignificant. Because at this moment, you're God and you're all goddess. It's insignificant. And the banishment is done automatically. If you're coming from that place, and by the way, the reason you open and close your hand, the opening and the closing of your hand are mudras. We are all physically quantum instruments that are capable of, that are connected to the quantum field. When you do a mudra, let's say for example you're meditating and you're doing this mudra or that mudra, every mudra have a quality, an energetic and frequency quality that it enhances, that it creates. Okay? And depending on what you're doing and the hand signal, I have books, I have several books here, I don't have them access to, it's all the way on the other side, but I have books on mudras that tells you, depending on the position and how you hold it, it's a whole science in Hindu tradition. That if you are, and in Buddhist tradition, if you're holding the right mudra, you can create all kinds of effect. Because frequency-wise, you enhance and you connect to the quantum field, and you're asking the quantum field to bring and connect you to a very specific frequency. Remember, the quantum field is made of fluids, of waves and fluids. Nothing is solid in its endless potential, and there are 17, according to science today, 17 different types of fluid. And the way they interact, interconnect, they create all kinds of infinite conditions. So depending on how you hold your hand and what you're doing with it, it connects, it enhances and projects certain things. When you're opening your hand and closing them like this, you're actually banishing. You're saying that I'm erasing everything that's connected to time and space. Begone time and space, and you hold it. Now, pay attention to this one thing. When you say begone time and space, the space part is more prolonged. it tends to be a longer timing. Because at that moment, when you say space, the column is over, your ascended column, your verticality is already projecting. Because the moment you say be gone, the banishment is already taking place. Time, and then when you get to space, there's a vacuum created in the geographical area that you're trying to overlight. The vacuum is created, and when you say space and you hold the syllable of the space longer to allow the column to move into the emptiness that was just created, because the universe hates a vacuum. So that when you say space and you hold the space, then the volume just move, the column just move and occupies it, and then the peace and the serenity is there. Your eyes are not going to be transfixed, because the column will automatically move and go energetically. You will sense it. It will go somewhere in the volume, the geographical area around you, and when it goes there, you hold it, and then you let the 12th breath, you let the guardian come in and do the 12 universal breath. While you inhale, you do the pranayama with every guardian. First guardian comes in, and then it goes, and you exhale counterclockwise, clockwise, and until the whole thing is complete. Okay?
But could I ask you,
Yes, yes.
we would have done either the torsion field or the universal breaths, which is a
Prior.
short,
Yes.
right, prior. But with the beyond time and space arm extended, you're saying that we would do the 12 universal breaths or the guardian torsion field again?
No, what happened is that when you say beyond time and space and you hold your hand, the column is projected. Then you're going to see the guardian. You're going to feel that the guardians are coming in to recreate the torsion field around the column again, outside of yourself, to confirm that the boundary of what they are trying to cover. Because you just shifted something really big. It's going to now seal it.
By seeing the guardians in that space, is
And,
that what you mean?
and you're going to sense the energy of the guardian, first guardian, coming at the bottom of the column, counter rotating. When that begins to happen, you inhale with them. You accompany them. And then you let it go at the top of the torsion of the column, and then exhale. And then the second guardian coming down. You see what I'm saying? You follow along with them. Does that make any sense?
All right, so it's in essence, well, you are not, well, part of generating at least the torsion field. They are recreating the torsion field in that new space that
Correct.
you, okay. So then you just follow their rotating torsion fields and uh, in as they enter the space.
Yes. You follow along with your breath. Yes. And by the time the 12th one is created, you can move your hand back. Take your.
Okay,
It's done. It's done. It's
thank you.
And as you're following with your breath, every atom and molecule within the volume that they are creating will be changed. People, if they are individual birds, animal, plants, everybody will feel it, because the rest that you know now is going to be confirmed and sealed in that volume. We were talking about a little bit earlier, you and I, Janice, that there's a lot of overlap of other dimension and the reality, some of them made of fear, that are overlapping us, that are creating. Sometime you're at peace, you're doing your meditation or whatever, and then all of a sudden something just swipe over you, and it's incredible fear or some sort of interference of some kind. It's because multiple parallel realities overlapping each other. So this is a way to banish out of a volume, because a lot of time the reason why people around you are experiencing distress, it's because some negative, either archon or demiurge or even Satan related stuff is just overlapping them, sideswiping them. By doing this, you banish everything out. And we intercede in that way. We help people by projecting. And once the torsion field is, the guardian have confirmed the boundary and the sealing of the torsion field, immediately the peace, the serenity, and the liberation that you know, every molecule, every atom, and I'm not talking about just human being. I'm talking about even subatomic particle. They move immediately in neutrality. And anybody that's in the volume or conscious will feel it immediately. Cat, dogs, animals, fish, birds, they will automatically sense it, and and in fact, they will be attracted to come to the center of it. Because it feels way better than anything else they were experiencing before. Does that make any sense?
Beautiful.
All right, give me 1 second. I just want to make sure I don't have anybody that's trying to get in the call. I thought I heard my phone beep. Okay, I did send the link. Okay. So we again, it is it's multiple step process, but it's gonna feel like one continuous thing. When you say be gone, literally, it's a culmination of you unbroken from the beginning of creation until now, aligned, completely aligned. Not 1,000 voices, not an inner voice saying you're an imposter, you're lying, you cannot do this. None of that. Everything is confirmed that you are who say you are. When you say be gone, you're banishing, and what you're banishing, time and space. And the space is a little bit longer. It kind of trail. It's a little bit longer because you're waiting for the column to shift, to go and occupy. Be planted as a staff of a magician in the middle of the space where you're trying to override, and you're going to allow it to happen. And once it happens, you hold it, and then wait, and then you're going to sense the energy of the guardian coming in from the bottom of the core of the earth, counter-rotating. First guardian comes in, you follow it with your inhalation, and then you exhale. Second guardian coming from the top, core of the earth, and until 12 breaths are done, and then if the sealing of it is confirmed. The key to it is that the amount of work that you've done on the Dantian, on shadow work, the amount of work you did on emotional intelligence, the amount of work you did in it has repaired and reconciled so many things inside of you that when you command and you decree be gone time and space, it's not just your speech. We talked about having the impeccable speech. That part is important too, that you don't utter you don't gossip, you don't utter things, you don't say things, you remain silent, you speak when it's necessary, and you hold your peace when it's also necessary. There are things that are not necessary to say. There are things that are trivial, that are nonsensical. You don't need to repeat like a parakeet everything that happened. And if you're doing this, you're draining your ability to utter the word, because you're saying nonsensical thing and the universe is not going to listen to you because you're scattered all over the place. You're jumping you're too mercurial. You're shifting too much. You need to be in the rest. And then when you utter it from that conviction with no fracture, no brokenness, and you say, be gone, in me, and your hands are open. I'm sorry, I don't want to mess up the video. And you say, be gone like this with such conviction, and the mudra of release is done. You're doing this as a mudra of release. Be gone, time and space. And you're releasing time and space. Immediately, everything is dissolved. All the lack, all the survival, everything is dissolved. and then the shift occurs. Any questions, any comments?
I can imagine, Pierre, that while we maybe enter this in the peace and tranquility or whatever neutrality of the torsion field, there's still parts of us that I'm still working on, at least, that maybe doing it to myself would be helpful.
Well, you could not do this because this has to be external. What you can do to yourself is what we talked about before when we're calling people with our eyes closed and we're passing the peace, the serenity that I know.
Yes,
You can do that to frag to the part of you that may be in distress.
yes,
We talked about this a few weeks back, right? Say, for
right.
example, you sense that there's a part of you that's in distress, and you do the 12 breath, and you are, or the torsion field doesn't matter, and you feel that all of a sudden I'm in that peace and that rest. But the part of me that's still in my distressed body is still there, is still agitated. Find it in space around you, and then say, may the peace, the serenity that I know pass on to you, and then project it right onto it. And it will calm that part of you down and cause it to go out of distress.
I'm thinking that that could be very helpful to resolve long-standing
Yes,
traumas that,
yes,
many layers that we work on these things.
yes,
There always seem to be either another dimensional aspect that pops up or that there are conditions surrounding you that haven't changed, which indicate that there is still an emotional upheaval that is somewhere in the basement,
yes.
buried.
Yes. There are more back doors. There's always some sort of the back door. But
Yes,
here's
yes,
the thing, Janice. You have spent now over 10 years doing this work, which
yes.
means that over 51% of your energetic body has now been repaired. And if you activate the bigger on time and space with that, it will listen to you.
Oh, okay. That's very helpful to know.
You
Yes.
understand? You don't have to be at 100%. Ascension begins once you have balanced your karma and your energy body is at 51%. The moment you pass that threshold, ascension begins.
I
You
will
know,
remember that also,
yeah,
that the may the peace and the whatever serenity that I to pass on to you, that part of you that you suspect is still buried, but
yes,
could then benefit uh past the 51%. You know what I mean?
yes, yes, yes. It will benefit any part of you that's in distress.
Yeah.
Okay, any
I'm
part of
not
you that's still in
I,
distress.
I'm not feeling distress, but I know it must be there because I see the
It
evidence
is there.
outwardly in other
Sometimes,
ways.
sometimes it's
Right?
not conscious. Sometimes I told you,
Right.
I was sharing with this with you before the class even began, that there are times I know I've been feeling unsafe, giving everything that's going into the world. If I didn't feel unsafe, then something would be wrong with me. All the chaos, the war, the constant back and forth, it's on, it's not on. This, all the nonsense, the gas prices, the oil, and if you're being honest and acknowledging, even though I am meditating and I'm not watching the news, I'm doing all of this, you don't exist in a vacuum.
And stress is hard to avoid in this world.
Yes, yes, you don't exist in a vacuum. And I'm sharing karma with everybody else. Somebody will tell me, did you hear what happened? The guy, when I go to the grocery store, even though I'm not listening to anything, why is it the same grocery bag I used to buy for $20, now I have to pay $35 to get it?
Mhm.
You have to realize something is wrong. So it creates a stress. And so whether you would have to exist in a cave by yourself not to be affected by anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so yes, uh, uh, you're not cognizant of it, but it is there. This is, by the way, this is the reason why I'm saying a lot of times that instead of rushing doing the torsion field and running because we're all scheduled with things that we need to do. I need to go get the grocery. I need to finish this project. I need to clean the apartment. We have all these to do. I need to go teach a class. I need to write this. I need to send this email. Spend an extra 10 minutes after you do the torsion field to sit in the liberation without any agenda, without having to heal somebody or project it into the world, but for your own personal benefit and acclimation to God's rest. Your own personal benefit. Because what happens when you do this? Automatically you begin to do this. The healing you're talking about, Janice, automatically begin to happen. Unbeknown to you, a pocket of resistance that you were not conscious of while you're sitting in that rest unravel. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't know this was there. Oh my God, thank you. What an insight.
Yeah, I need to do that. Part of the self-love, I guess,
Yes.
self-care needs to be extended a little extra 10 minutes.
Just a little bit of more time. Instead of, I do the same thing because I have 1,000 things that I'm doing.
We
And,
all kind of
and
are pushed the envelope a little bit too far.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like uh, there's something I have to rush to take care of. There's this, that, or the other. There's always a list of to do. And if I leave an extra 10 minutes, then suddenly I have a little bit more time where I can sit and say, okay, I'm gonna now, it's between me and God now. I am in this rest and this liberation, and I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna let God's love rest and stillness untie everything or anything that exists in me. Let his love just wash over me. And a lot of time I don't have an agenda and I'm sitting there and all of a sudden there's an insight that it was not in my conscious mind. And it just pops out. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know this was there. And if I didn't spend that time, I would have not have found it.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes me into a process of healing and reconciliation. Because I see it from a God perspective. God is saying to me that the way you're trying to resolve this or deal with this, sometimes it's things from my past, sometimes it's things in the present, sometimes it's behavior that are, situation that connects me to people, individual, or things to my ancestors. It just kind of, whatever is unresolved, God just brings it up to help me resolve it. Because God see the effort. What is it that Amma used to say? Take a step toward me, and I'll take 1,000 steps toward you. And that part is true. If you move toward God, God will move toward you and create all kinds of healing for you. So spending that little bit of time on a daily basis, let's say for one of the torsion field practice, end up being over time incredibly beneficial. And by the way, when you're in that time space thing that you create that extra little time, sometimes you think, oh my God, it's only 10 minutes, but it feels like an hour. And I want you to understand something as well. A lot of time when you're doing these kind of practices, particularly torsion field and things related to the breath and the pranayama, you think a lot of time that I think I've been here, and there's a distortion in time and space. This is what neutrality does. I want you to understand this. You may think at moment, I think I fall asleep. I went somewhere else, like you're doing you're the fifth torsion field, okay, fifth guardian. All of a sudden, as the torsion field is getting created, you're breathing, and all of a sudden you're like, I went somewhere else. I went blank. I don't know where I went, but there are seconds there. I think I floated somewhere else. I went sideways. You didn't go anywhere. Okay, let me explain. So what happened is that every torsion field is a bardeau. It's a transit or an intermediary state between two different levels of consciousness. And because it's a passage, when you're moving through it, the tendency that we human beings have when we're going, like when you're going from being awake to going to sleep, no one remember how they enter their dreams. They just find themselves in the dream. You fall asleep and then you find yourself inside the dream. There's a passage, and the passage is typically marked by unconsciousness. All of a sudden you go blank. It's not that you go blank and you fall asleep. It's more that you're in a passage. You're in an intermediary state. You're in a bardo. So when you have moments like this, when you think you pass out and you went sideways, and a lot of my students, or a lot of them are saying, "Oh, I fell asleep." You didn't fall asleep. You're not in a sleep state. You're actually in a bardo state. And it's a transition that you're moving through. And that transition is taking you somewhere else. And when that's someplace else, when you arrive at it, you're awakened inside of it. And you're like, oh my God, I think don't punish yourself and think you're not good enough because that happens. This is part of the process of acclimating yourself to the bardo state. Over time, you will move to all 12 torsion fields without passing out.
And sometimes maybe it is that experience you just described, the spiraling of the guardian pauses. And it is over maybe a certain part of the body, even just pauses there and
Yeah,
just sits for
yeah,
a while, uh, and it is kind of like a feeling of zoning out,
yes,
and then it continues on.
yes. And part of it is because you need healing in that part of your body, a part of the column, or better yet, it's not just that you need healing. For me, the experience that I have when I go deep inside of it, it takes me a long while of sitting in the after the torsion field and sitting for a long time in it, and I kept on asking Spirit, am I falling asleep? And Spirit said, no, Pierre. You're in awe of the stillness. You're not used to being so completely unburdened.
Oh, oh. What happens very often is it's another dimensional body that expresses or experiences that paused
Yes.
uh, torsion field spiraling. So maybe that dimensional body needed healing.
Yes. Or if not healing, you need to acclimate because you don't know where you are. You're disoriented.
Oh, okay. All right.
You understand? This is the awe. You're disoriented. You don't know where you are. You don't understand what's going on because you're not used to this.
Are you in that dimension?
You're in that dimension. You're trying
Right.
to understand what am I feeling, and you're in awe. You're trying to comprehend it.
Oh, I
You're
understand.
thinking.
Right, because it's not aware of what me in 3D is doing. So it's just experiencing it suddenly without context.
Yes, without context, and I am in such I can't process, I can't comprehend it.
I got you.
And there are times when I'm doing this, and I'm very aware. My eyes are closed, but a lot of time I'm moving my head because so many swirling energy things are happening around me,
Yeah, me too.
and I'm moving my head because I'm trying to understand it. You're not falling asleep. Be aware of this. It's not sleep. You are either in Bordeaux or you're in awe or trying to acclimate and trying to integrate the expansion that you're receiving and thus healing because that acclamation will energetically help you remember who you were or who you are in that dimension.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes, it's kind of like it's when these moments are happening, particularly when you, I want you to begin to enjoy, particularly in days off, when you have a little bit more time, let's say on weekends. If you have the luxury of spending more than 10 minutes after the torsion field is done, spend a half hour. The benefits, or I can't even begin to express it to you. Because suddenly you gain so much more. Because you understand, because it's creating intimacy between you and God. And by the way, that stillness, that sense of being lost and disoriented and not knowing where you are and trying to act, this is what God feels like. That's the point. We keep thinking we're going to see a beam of light and or some winged being coming. It's not what it is. This is what God actually feels like. It's this complete surrender and utter rest where all burden, everything is released, and you feel a sense of complete freedom and liberation. And if you do it well enough for a week or two, what's going to happen? You're going to wake up one morning, and as you try to do the torsion field, the guardian are going to tell you, you don't need to do it, it's already there. It's already present. It's already there. Because you wake up feeling so liberated, so completely already free. Because whatever work you did for the past week, you're enjoying now the after effect, the afterglow. Let me remind you as well that there are currently a lot of solar flares, and they are causing all kinds of things to happen around the planet at this moment that may be energetically interfering with clarity, with all clarity. And the thing that this torsion field practice gives us, particularly when you learn how to enjoy the so-called blankness and rest that you get, is that so the moment you are in that space and you learn how to acclimate to it, it will give you clarity. Now what happened is that, let's say I'm with the ninth guardian, okay, it's the 12th dimension, and I'm doing the torsion field, and then all of a sudden I don't know where I went, and I seem to take longer for the next guardian to come in, because I go into this bardo, or this awe kind of state. Whatever time it takes me for the 10th guardian to come in, if it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, half a minute, doesn't matter. When the next guardian come in, that's the time that it took. I'm not judging myself. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm allowing the process to happen organically and naturally the way it wants to happen. And the next guardian comes in, and clockwise, 10th guardian comes in, goes in, and creates, and whatever time it takes for it to install itself, to give me all the benefit and the energetic expansion and release that I need. And then I acclimate myself to the release, because at every point the release is so deep and so profound, because we're so used to having to do. I have to do this, I have to fix this, I have to do. All of a sudden, the state of being with God is a state of having to do nothing. It's a complete surrender. It's so anti anything that we are doing in the 3D. And we have to learn how to yield to it. So when I'm trying to explain to you the nuances as a way to allow you to make you less judgmental of yourself in doing the process and just witness yourself doing it instead and letting whatever is happening to happen and to let it grow organically the way the torsion field wants to. Because you're not doing the torsion field, you're witnessing it. And if you truly are witnessing it, whatever time it takes, if it's on hold where it's at the top of your head before it starts going into the top of the 12th dimension or the 6th dimension, it doesn't matter. If at some point you feel like all of a sudden I don't know where I went, you didn't pass out, you're in Bardo, or you're trying to comprehend the healing and the release that you're receiving. You're trying to process it. There are times I'm doing it and I can feel I get so big and so tall. I feel like, or I am at 3 or 4 places at the same time. I am at the top of the torsion field. I am in my body. I'm also at the core of the earth. All of them simultaneously. I'm multi-locating. Sometimes I feel the boundaries. I feel the energy is expanded so wide and so open, and I can feel I am 50 blocks from where I'm sitting. And all I'm doing is that I'm following, I'm going along, and I'm acknowledging that this is what's happening around me. And gradually, that acclamation will become an identity over time. You will know who you are, because after a while, if you do it and you don't wash through it and you keep doing it the way I'm asking you to do it right now, what's going to happen is that there are days you're going to wake up and it's going to be there. Sometimes for me, it lasts for a whole week. Of course, after the week, when I have to now start doing it again, I get upset with myself. I keep asking myself, what did I do wrong now? I'm going to give you a hint. You didn't do anything wrong. And other overlapping dimension came into your energy grid, is trying to interfere. And you need to go back to the practice again to push everything out. Sometimes it lasts, that kind of goodness, you wake up feeling like everything, I'm completely unburdened. From the time I open my eyes, I can feel it. Everything is completely open and unburdened. Sometimes it lasts for 2 days. The other days I come in, I feel the reverse. I feel so tight, like I'm wearing a girdle. It's so tight in my core. This is when, even before I do the long version of the torsion field, I do the 12 pranayama breath to untie my core. The 12 universal breath to allow my core to open up a little bit more. Even before I do the torsion, I let the guardian come in to help me support me with the torsion field, because I have to become neutral. And the reason for this is that I'm in the middle of New York City. In my building alone, there are 70 units. The animals, their pets, they're all kind of thing. Like for example, yesterday when the Knicks won, the whole place was on fire. There were people on the street running, and they're all celebrating all this, and it was chaos outside. Helicopters, police, and I was in my apartment sleeping, but you could feel the energy, right? It wasn't bad energy, but I'm giving you an example of an energetic that could interfere with your own functioning. My friend who lives on 8th Avenue and had her window open, she didn't sleep the whole night. I had met with her at the waterfront this morning. She was a zombie today. She said, I didn't sleep the whole night. till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They were still on the street, and they were very drunk, breaking glasses, jumping on top of cars. There was chaos. This is what happened when you have, of course, celebration for sports events. There's always a lot of breakage and a lot of craziness, a lot of vandalism. And what happened is that if you're sensitive energetically, your core is going to close. It's going to feel unsafe and closed. And when you wake up to try to do your practice, you might feel that tightness. So I want to be fair and talk about both things. There are moments where you're open. There are moments where you're going to feel the tightness. And when I feel the tightness, I do the 12 universal breath first to make sure that I'm neutral, because I am the grounding rod. And if I'm not neutral, the torsion field is not going to anchor correctly. So I take the deep breath, I open myself up, and when I feel that I'm open, then I ask the guardian to come in and support me and take me into neutrality. Now, prior to me doing this, I have a whole practice of mantras and things that I do prior to that every morning. So I take my mala out, I do all the mantras first, and then I do the meditation practice. It takes me a little while, but you know, I schedule it in. Any questions, any comments? So remember, when you're in need of helping, again, none of us are completely ascended. We're not 100% where we're supposed to be. We're all a work in progress. And keeping that in mind, and keeping the more than 10 years that you've been doing this work with me, you are now at a point where expressing the rod of Melchizedek, because that's what the beyond time and space is. It's an external expression of the antakarana, or the rod of Melchizedek. You're projecting it into a geographical area or into space. It's the celestial axis being projected outside on you. It's big deal. It is also meaning that it's divine magic, and it's something that you have in a glass case that you break out only in case of emergency. And the reason I'm saying this is that although I'm asking you once a week to do the practice with your hand to learn how to project it, okay? That's the only way you're going to learn. It's like trying to learn from a tricycle. You have to keep practicing. And this is why I'm going into great detail, and I will go next week again in more detail about this whole process, because I want to help you find this very sensitive line. Because once you find it, you're never going to lose it. But the very sensitive line that exists between knowing that you're acting from all of your parts healed and reconciled together. That's where the command and the decree comes from. That's where your voice is going to come from. Because when enough time you've done the torsion field and you know what that rest and that serenity looks like, when you say begone time and space, it's you as that being completely reconciled with God. That's saying begone time and space. It's not you disempowered and worried about your latest deadline or what's going on with your life, and or you trying to pay your grocery bills or any other kind of bill. It's you standing as a celestial being. And when you say you're decreeing it to the universe, and you're banishing first everything out. Because the open palm 3 times, it's the release. It's the mudra to release. You're banishing. And once the banishment is done, then automatically in time and space takes longer because the energy moves and then goes into the center of the room, or the center of the volume or the space. It could be outside, it could be indoor, it doesn't matter. And again, keep your eyes fixed the moment you sense energetically where it is. Keep your eyes fixed where it is, and then you're gonna sense the first guardian coming to the bottom, because after it's projected, the staff is stricken. Remember what we talked about, that the staff is Hakma, and Hakma is a staff, and when you strike the measure of God, you strike it on the floor, like all line in the universe, because the universe is a torsion field, it eventually rotates back into itself. So when you strike it, when the first guardian comes in, they are moving through that axis to close it, to seal the space, to close it, to encapsulate the volume that they're going to now sanctify with the peace and the rest of God. And the second guardian comes in, and then you follow it with your breath. Second guardian, third guardian, fourth guardian, and so on, until all 12 guardians have confirmed and sealed the space. And remember, we are doing this for one and one reason alone, for the benefit of humanity. It is a path of service. You're not doing this for your ego, to demonstrate it to people, to show them we have your power. You're doing this only for service. With great power comes great responsibility. If you do it for any other reason, the karma will be catastrophic. You're trying to serve the people in your circle of influence by projecting the rest of God that you know inside of you outside into the world, and temporarily make them safe. And as this continues, again, as I said, none of us are perfect. Nobody's clean in front of the throne room of God. Nobody's perfect. We all are work in progress. To a degree, you may think you are clean now. At some point, maybe in the future, like 3 years, 2 years from now, you will realize, oh, what I thought I was doing there, I'm in a better place now. My intentions are cleaner and better. It's all good. At the moment you were doing it, your heart was pure. And here's the key. It's the purity of your heart that drives it. This is what's going to make it manifest. It's the simplicity and the purity of your heart. I'm going to remind you of an incident that happened, because at the time we were connecting with storm and hurricanes and all of that. And this is years ago. Those of you who've been with me, I think it was maybe in 2012, 2011. And at the time, Marie-Lisette was one of the people that was part of the group that was calling in. And she lives in Lansing, Michigan. And she called me one day. She was not in the call for a weekend, and she called me the next day to tell me that there was a tornado coming toward her senior center. And the siren went off. And she said to me, I'm living in the facility, I can walk, I can do myself fine. She said, but my neighbor next door, across the hall from me, she's so disabled, I would have to help put her in the wheelchair. And as she said, I opened the window, I could see the twister. This gigantic black thing was coming toward us with that weird noise that it creates. And the siren are glaring for us to go into the basement. And she said, I knew there was not enough time. She didn't have to even do the torsion field. She went to the window and she, from her purity of her heart and the sincerity of her heart, she connected to the storm and she said, you cannot come here. It's a building full of senior. We don't have enough time to run for the basement. You cannot come here. And it came from such a deep and profound place. The tornado jumped the street and literally turned 45 degrees away from her. It was imminent. It was coming toward them. Turn. What am I trying to say? When you have a need to operate this, all the technique, everything that I've taught you, when you have a need for it, you will remember what you're supposed to do. And it will happen like this. Now, if you were not doing the torsion field prior to that together, we did multiple connection to multiple hurricane, she would not know how to communicate to the storm. But she went in automatically without doing a torsion field. Because she woke up in the middle of the night with the siren. But she knew how to connect to the storm. And she did it. And the storm listened. The tornado listened. Now, it's not me that did this. I don't want you to think I'm special and I'm the one that has all the ability. Somebody like you, all of you.
Doesn't it point to the oneness of all, whether it's human or animal or cosmic conditions or weather patterns?
Yes.
The connection of everything that is then able to respond within itself for correction, for change. Hard to imagine being one with a storm, but is that a consciousness then that
everything is alive? Everything exists in the torsion field is alive, particularly storms. And so, as we do torsion field and we connect to hurricanes and storm and we go in, and there's a whole process. I keep asking you, ask the storm for forgiveness. She didn't have the time to do any of this because it was coming. When there is a need, the universe creates a way. We are all interconnected. We are not separated. In fact, in this instance, she connected very quickly in a moment that every human being in that facility, because she was living in a senior facility, they all disabled. They will not be able to get to safety in time. And the storm hurt them and moved. And she said to me the next day, you know what happened? Melton, I'm going to get to you in a second. And you know what happened the next day? She said when she was walking out, the trees around her the facility were thanking her because all the other trees all the other places were unrooted.
beautiful? Oh, that's lovely.
Melton, you wanted to say something? I thought she had unmuted.
No.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Mhm.
Anyway, so I'm saying this to you is because if you have a need to do this, you will find that this is not complicated at all. It's going to be like Marie-Lisette's found. It's just stepping up and doing it. And she didn't step up to the window as Marie-Lisette, but as a goddess, as an ascended being. Just go step right into it. because there's a need. And guess what? She didn't do it for herself. She did it because all of her neighbors. That's where service becomes the key to open all the doors. It's because she needed to protect everyone else. That's the key. When you have a need to do something and to intercede for others, all of a sudden the way is found. So remember this. This is big thing. I'm trying to teach you now. And again, this is the shiny things and the kind of like glamorous things that. And again, use your caution. I tend not to. I try to not do this in front of people. Or if you do it, if you have to do it in front of people, that's fine as well. But when they ask you afterward, what is it that you did? Because energy just shifted. Everything around us just shifted automatically. But what did you do? Just say nothing. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. And just walk away. Don't make a big deal out of it. For the reasons that follows. When people realize that you have powers and abilities, human beings, almost every other human being, is looking for somebody to give their power to make decisions for them. If they realize you have power, they will flatter you, they will call you master, they will do all kinds of things to inflate your ego and have you carry their karma and their responsibility and make decisions for them. And that kind of burden is horrible. I've experienced it in multiple lifetimes. You don't want to do this because it's filled with traps, and you're carrying the load of other people that will sink you, like you're carrying a bunch of anvil while you're trying to live it. It will sink you. If they're truly desiring to learn this, you need to follow the same protocol I did. Teach them correctly. Take 10 years to do inner work, and then teach them after the 10 years. Once they have reconciled their egos and negative ego, their fractures and their brokenness enough, and their traumas, then begin to teach them how to do this. Because otherwise they're going to project chaos into the world. Yeah, they'll move time and space out, but by the time they move it, instead of projecting peace and serenity of God, they'll project brokenness, chaos. They will not make things better, they will make things worse. Any other questions or comments?
I love the power of service to others. That is don't pass go, but you get a pass through for helping others more than just yourself.
That's correct. The moment you are of service, I'm gonna see Ahmad this weekend. She called it the tapas, the service, sorry, the service, the service. The moment you do the service and you are doing this and it's for service, all of a sudden all the doors are open. What seemed complicated become like a sneeze, like the blinking of your eyelid.
I had a situation with a family member who had a stroke and was in serious condition on a ventilator. I projected the torsion field, the peace, serenity, neutrality to her for several days. She's recovering beautifully.
Yeah.
I'm
Good.
not saying only me. I mean, there were lots of people praying for her,
Yes.
but I just realized that maybe it was that prayer for somebody else. That's
But this is the key. This is the key is intercession. It's doing it's service.
Hmm.
You're not doing this just for your benefit. Yes, you're healing yourself as well, but the key is to help others. Because at the level of ascension that you're all right now, you can only make progress if you're sharing your expansion with others. That's the only way you can grow. Once you pass the 8th level of initiation, you can only, and many of you are now 10th, 11th level, some of you are teetering on the 12th. So you, if you're not serving, you will not move any further. Service is the key.
I love that.
All right, let's take a 5-minute break and then we'll do the closing meditation. 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And notice what you noticed. And the guardian alliance of light approach you, offering to gift you their shields of light and protection, and a band of neutrality. If you are ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively. And let the energy of the first guardian begin in the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the fourth dimensional body, while creating all around me. Utolsson neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends, and it attracts now the energy of the second guardian coming in from the top of the fifth dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, going into the core of the earth and creating all around me. The torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends. And it attracts now the energy of the third guardian. Coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating. Moving through the bottom of my feet. Passing through my core. Exiting outside of my head. And going into the top of the sixth dimensional body while creating all around me. The torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the fourth guardian. Coming in from the top of the seventh dimensional body. Rotating clockwise. Passing into the top of my head. Moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth while creating all around me. The torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the fifth guardian. Coming in from the core of the earth. Counter-rotating. Passing through the bottom of my feet, moving through my core, exiting outside of my head and going to the top of the eighth dimensional body while creating all around me. With torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the sixth guardian, coming in from source, rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of the ninth dimensional body, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going to the core of the earth, while creating all around me. With torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the seventh guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, passing through the bottom of my feet, moving through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 10th dimensional body while creating all around me. With torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts down the energy of the eighth guardian, coming in from source, dropping to the top of the 11th dimensional body, passing through the top of my head, moving through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet and going to the core of the earth, while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the ninth guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head and going to the top of the 12th dimensional body, while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the tenth guardian, coming in from the top of the 13th dimensional body, rotating clockwise, passing through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet, and going into the core of the earth, while creating all around me. A torsion field of neutrality. Begone time and space. The axis at the bottom of my feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the 11th guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through the bottom of my feet, passing through my core, exiting outside of my head, and going into the top of the 14-dimensional body while creating all around me with torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. The axis at the top of my head extends and it attracts now the energy of the 12th guardian, coming in from source, rotating clockwise, dropping into the top of my head, passing through my core, exiting at the bottom of my feet and going into the core of the earth, while creating all around me. The torsion field of neutrality. Be gone, time and space. I am one with the God force. And I stand in spiritual rectitude and verticality, at rest. And liberated from all burden. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, Pierre. Thank you.
You're welcome, Janice. You're welcome. Thank you all for listening to me tonight and for liking this video. Subscribe. Thank you all for your support. Deep love, and I'll talk to you next week.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye. Good night. Love you.